So, welcome to another class on CMA Part 1. Today, our session is on transfer pricing. Transfer pricing, as you all know, is a topic of uh, performance management area, okay, which is also your section C. In your syllabus, you will find it in the section C, right? So, transfer pricing is very simple concept. We will discuss it. So, when there is a company, okay, in which there are more than one departments or divisions or subunits, so in that case the internal departments or internal divisions, they are going to have some products or services which they are going to sell each other, right? You know very well there are some group of companies. So they have a construction company, they have travel agency also, and they have decoration company also. So they construct, I mean, a building or a villa, whatever, and they also do the fixtures and fittings of that villa, right? So similarly, they need a travel agency to book the tickets of their employees if they are traveling from different countries, for business meetings and all these things. So that's why it is better to deal with the internal company as compared to the external supplier. Why? Because you can get some discount, of course, like your related party sister company, which is a travel agency, that can give you a better price instead if you go to any other travel agency and you book the ticket for your employees. So that is one of the reasons. Okay, plus sometimes it happens that you know some companies, they go for vertical integration. In that case, they acquire their own suppliers, and uh, I mean, all the companies are under the same umbrella now. So before we were purchasing from the supplier as a third party, but now the supplier will supply us the goods as a related party, right? So these are some of the examples which you can keep in your mind, that why this transfer pricing is an important area. Now see, the question is why we are studying this in the CMA course, plus why is this topic in the section C area, performance management. So to answer that question, I would say that when you are going to compare the performance of different divisions or departments or subunits of your organization, you need a measure, right? So that measure, if you take for example, like we discussed before, return on investment. So the departments can argue that if you are asking them to transfer the goods to each other at cost, so they can argue that we don't have any profit because you want us to transfer to the other department on cost, right? So that's why we need to make sure that we use a transfer pricing methodology which is suitable for performance management. Okay, let's start. So in simple terms, if examiner is asking you what is transfer pricing, so the answer is very simple. It is a price which one subunit charges to another subunit of the same organization. So this you need to remember. This is an important point here, because we are talking about the same organization. Okay, now what is the objective? What are the objectives? As I have already discussed in my introduction session, the two main objectives are goal congruence and performance evaluation. Now what is goal congruence? It's a very simple point. Goal congruence means that the goals of the divisions, the goals of the departments, they are matching, or they are in line with the goals of the parent company, with the goals of the head office. Okay, like for example, if you remember, we discussed when in the return on investment session that the investment manager will reject any opportunity which is giving the return less than their own return on investment, right? We did a question also, which was Lawton Industries. So remember, the investment center, they were making 19 to 22%, and they got an opportunity of 18%, but they rejected it. Why? Because their own ROI was around 20%. But the company's return rate, which was 15%. Okay, so as per the company, they should have accepted it. But because of their own self-interest, they rejected the opportunity. This is called conflict of interest, which is the opposite of goal congruence. Getting it? Goal congruence is the opposite of conflict of interest. So then they moved to residual income, remember. So when they used residual income, they would have accepted the opportunity, because any opportunity which will give me a return which is more than the minimum return will be accepted, because it will create a positive residual income and it will lead to my increase in my bonus also. So this we have already discussed in the last session, where we discussed the return on investment and residual income. So the concept flows from there actually. Now here we need to make the divisions, the department set a transfer price by which they achieve goal congruence. Now goal congruence means betterment for the whole organization, okay, keeping aside their own self-interest. And that is only possible when we use a transfer price which is good for the organization. Okay, the topic is coming ahead, that how many types are there, which one is better in which situation, all of that we will discuss. Now what is economies of scale? I have written here. Actually, you know very well, when you buy in bulk quantity, you get a discount. That is called economies of scale. So basically you are saving money. So in this situation, if the internal departments, they transact with each other, so there is a chance they can make a saving, which is also called, 1 plus 1 is greater than 2, right? So when my internal departments will transact with each other, so there is a possibility that we can save money, right? We can save on the money as compared to if we would have purchased it from outside. Okay, you can get a good price, you can save on maybe transportation cost, you can save on any other cost, maybe the internal company, your related party may not charge you that much margin, depends, right? Also quality can be reliable, because it's a related party, so definitely they will not compromise on quality. The second objective is performance evaluation. Definitely, as we discussed already, this topic, why it's included in section C, performance management, because the objective of this methodology is performance evaluation. And when I evaluate the departmental managers based on a certain transfer price, so it should be suitable for them, right? Otherwise it can create demotivation, which we will see in a while. Okay, so let's move on and see what we have next in our slides. Now see, the next thing you should know is how many methods are there to calculate the transfer price. This session we are going to talk the theory of transfer pricing. In the next session we are going to have some calculations also. So today we will discuss the slides, and then we will discuss 2 essay questions, okay, with no calculation. And then in the next session we will discuss about some of the calculations also. Now there are 3 methods of transfer pricing. One is called market based, one is the second one is cost based, and the third one is negotiated. right? So what is market based? Very simple. That is the amount which is charged to the external customers. Very simple. Whatever is the external selling price, you charge to your related party, to your internal division, department, whatever it is, sister company. So it's very simple. Your department, your division is asking you, please sell me the product. So you can say, okay, I'm selling this product outside for maybe $30 per unit, and I will charge you the same amount, right? So what do you think about this method? This is good or not? So moving on, we will also discuss about the advantages and disadvantages of all the three methods, okay? And what can be the behavioral implications of each method. Now here, the main thing to understand is that it may be good for the selling division but not good for the purchasing division, or vice versa. Okay, these topics are coming ahead in a while. What is cost based? Cost based, very simple. Your sister company, your related party, they are asking, please sell us the product. So you are saying, okay, I will sell you for my cost. Definitely you will never say that, right? So sometimes the parent company, which is your head office, they will impose on you that you are supposed to sell the product to your sister company at cost. Okay, so definitely you will only use cost method when there is no market, when for that product, or the market price is not available. You know, that is a specialized type of a product which you are making only for your sister company, maybe. Getting it? Or maybe you have some spare capacity which you can utilize, and by doing that you will charge cost to your sister company. Now the cost based has four different types of subdivisions. Number one is called variable production cost. So if you remember, we have a topic in cost management which is called variable costing. So when we use variable costing, so we calculate this variable production cost. Remember, so we use material, we use labor, we use variable overheads, right? Production overheads only to get this unit cost, which is also called product cost. So we only take the variable production cost in variable costing when we calculate the product cost. So cost based, you need to, you need to ask your head office that, okay, I will use cost based, but which cost? Is it variable production cost? Is it full production cost? Is it total cost? Or is it cost plus markup? Now, the second point, if you can see, that is the full production cost. If you remember the topic absorption costing, this is also in the section D of your syllabus, where we calculate the unit cost and we include the fixed production cost also when we are calculating the unit cost, right? So in this situation, you don't have you have flexibility here that you can use any of these four in determining your transfer price, which you can use in cost based. Okay, so in full production cost, remember we have four things: material, labor, variable production overheads, and the fourth thing which is new here is fixed production overheads. Then when you talk about the total cost, which we normally do in life cycle costing, because if you remember, in all the other costing methods, including general and admin is not allowed. Okay, if you talk about variable costing or absorption costing, or if you talk about job costing, you talk about ABC costing, so they don't consider the general and admin expenses as part of the product cost, not allowed. But in life cycle costing, if you remember, we go throughout the life cycle of the product. We take the pre-production cost also. Remember, downstream cost, upstream cost, and the production cost, including marketing, research and development, after sales support service, everything we include as part of the product cost, but only in which method? In life cycle costing. So just I'm reminding you also about the costing methods. So it's a revision for you. And the fourth one is you can add a markup on your cost. Now this cost, which is written on the fourth point, this can be either variable production cost. I mean, you can say I will take variable production cost plus markup. I will take full production cost plus markup, or I will take total cost plus markup. So it depends which cost you want to take. And this markup, very well, a percentage, 5%, 10%, whatever. And you know markup, how we calculate, it is based on cost. So for example, if the cost is 100 and I say that the markup is 20%, so you will say, okay, it is 20. So total is 120. Now in the bracket, if you see, there is a very important point. Examiner can ask you that in the cost-based transfer pricing, always budgeted cost is used. No, it can be budgeted or it can be actual. Which one is better? What do you think? Which one is better? Yeah, which one is better, my friends? So the answer is, you people can write in the chat box if you want, or if you want to speak up, you can unmute yourself and let me know your point of view on this. Which one is better, budgeted or actual? Okay, some people are saying actual, some people are saying, I think, budgeted. Okay, see, the answer is, if you think that I will charge my related party my budgeted cost, okay, I mean, you don't think, your head office is saying, Habibi, please charge your budgeted cost to the related party, budgeted cost plus markup. So now see, you have to make sure that you achieve your budget. Getting it? If your actual cost is more than the budget, that you cannot transfer on your related party, that you have to bear yourself. I hope you got the point. So that's why the selling divisions, they are more interested in getting the policy of actual cost-based transfer pricing. Actual. Why? So that, whatever their cost is, they can transfer. In this case, they are not going to save money, right? Because they know whatever we will make, whatever we will incur the cost, we can transfer on a related party. So no need for continuous improvement, no need to save the money for the organization, like that. So which one is better? Budgeted is better. Okay, because in budgeted, you are going to have check and balance on the cost. But again, if you remember, in budgeting area, we have discussed already, there is something called budgetary slack. So you can never say that, okay, that is also, budget is very nice. No, maybe in the budgeted amount you have incorporated slack, and you are charging your sister company a lot of amount which actually you are not incurring. Getting it? So you cannot say which one is better, but on a safer side, overall view, if you take, you can say, okay, budgeted, at least it has a little bit of check and balance. Okay, the third one is called negotiated transfer pricing, and this is when the two parties, they themselves interact with each other, they conduct meetings, and they set up with they finalize their own transfer price. It can be market based, it can be cost based, or it can be anything else. It can be something, totally different from cost based or market based, depends. That's why there is a risk here. In negotiated transfer pricing, there is a risk. What is the risk? That, they come up with a price which is good for them but not good for the organization. Okay, it's coming ahead, we will see in the next slides. So my friends, the next thing is conditions for market based transfer pricing. Now when you want to use market based transfer pricing, examiner can ask you what are the conditions, or in the scenario you have to search for it, that if these conditions are present, so you are going to recommend this method. Okay, Examiner can ask you, right, which method you recommend. So in that case, you have to check for these three conditions. If they are present in the scenario, you will recommend which method? You will recommend market-based method. The first condition is that market should be perfectly competitive. Okay, so very simple. You know, you are selling to the outside customers, and your sister company came to you and they said, please sell us this product. So you said, okay, uh, I will charge you market price. Okay, I will charge you market price. Now, when you can say this, I will charge you market price, when there are other suppliers also in the market. So your sister company can, I mean, argue with you that, okay, I can purchase also out from outside because this product is easily available, or material maybe, whatever it is, or service, anything. So I mean, they can argue with you why I should purchase from you. Okay, so your answer can be that, okay, if you purchase from me, maybe you will get a little bit of discount, which you cannot get from outside. Now, on the other hand, assume you are operating on full capacity. In that case, you will charge them opportunity cost also, because you will say, okay, I am already operating at full capacity. I don't have more resources to satisfy you. In that case, if they are still willing to purchase from you, okay, maybe because there is a shortage in the market, or maybe something else. So in that case, the head office can instruct you that please deal with the sister company, and you can argue with head office that I am already operating at full capacity and I am getting, for example, $30 from outside. If I sell him for $30, even $30, I will lose customers, and later on they will not come to me, right? Because when you will sell to your sister company, you have to reject someone from outside. Once you reject them, they may go away and never come back. So there is a problem of goodwill here. You can lose your goodwill, right? In that case, you will tell the head office that, okay, I will sell this sister company, but I will charge opportunity cost because I will lose my business. I may lose my business. The customer may not come to me. Okay, then we have the second point, which is interdependency between divisions is minimal. It means, neither you rely on sister company nor they rely on you. It means there are many customers and many suppliers in the market from where they can purchase and sell the product. So they don't depend on each other. In that case, you can use market-based transfer pricing. The third one is, sometimes there can be some savings when you deal with your sister company. Maybe you don't have to pay, maybe you are paying commission when you are selling outside, and if you sell to your sister company, you don't have to pay that commission, so you will save, right? So that, I mean, then in that case the price can be different. So the condition is there should be no additional cost or no benefit when you transact externally instead of internally. So you need to remember this also. Otherwise, there will be a different amount, slightly different amount. If you are saving commission, maybe definitely you will not charge that commission to your sister company, or maybe less commission. The next slide we have is for market based. Now we are talking about advantages and disadvantages. So in market based, what is the advantage? We have the advantage of goal congruence. This we already discussed. Okay, because when I tell to my divisions that please you transact on the market price, so the selling division has no concern. I mean, they will say, okay, we are selling externally for 30, we will sell you for 30 also, no problem, assuming they have excess capacity. Again, number two, it is useful for evaluation. Why? Because they will make a profit. When they will sell at the selling price, they are making a profit, right? So if the measurement is, for example, ROI, RI, whatever it is, so that is useful for that, because there is a profit element involved. definitely there will be motivation for them, because I am giving them a fair chance. I mean, it's a fair chance, right? It's a fair deal, that okay, whatever is the market price, you deal with it, the same amount. So there is no, I mean, no restriction or no burden on any one of them. And it also preserves the autonomy, independence. Autonomy means independence, right? Because I'm not imposing anything. I'm telling them to do something which they deserve actually, because they are dealing on the market price. What is the problem here? And a limitation, market may not exist, like I told you in the start, that for some products maybe there is no market, or the market is not perfect, because this is one of the conditions to satisfy before you select this market based method. Okay, if we talk about cost based, so what is the benefit of cost based? Definitely you will use it when market price is not there, so that is an alternative method for you when you don't have a market price available. Okay, sometimes what happens is market price is available, but you have to pay to obtain it. Okay, because it's not easily available. So maybe you have to pay to some agency or some research analysts or some websites, they disclose the prices. In that case, maybe you say, okay, no need for that, better we go for cost based. The second advantage is it often but not always achieve goal congruence. So it depends on a situation that the goal congruence will be achieved or not. So if the buying unit decides to buy from outside, okay, at a price less than the full cost of the selling unit, so I mean, they will not be interested, right, to buy from each other. So this is why there is less, I mean, maybe there is goal congruence or not, depends on situation to situation. It will motivate, definitely. Remember, when I discussed with you just now that cost based can be on budget or can be on actual. So it will motivate when it is based on budget. Okay, you know very well there is a benefit of budgeting, that budgeting motivates. How budgeting motivates? Because you have a target to achieve, and if you achieve that target, you are going to get some bonus, right? So in this case, when I will tell them, Habibi, you sell them on budgeted cost, so they have something to go for, right? They have something to look for it, and they will, when they will achieve their budget, the budgeted cost, they will get the bonus, so it will motivate them. But on the other side, remember, if it is based on actual, so there is a risk that they will not improve and they will charge whatever is their actual cost, right? They will not, I mean, control their abnormal loss, and so on. Okay, then we have quick, yeah, it's very quick method, because you already know your cost mechanism, right? Your cost structure you already know, so it's very simple to calculate it, and it's very easy to implement also, definitely, because there is no need for discussion, I mean, there is no need of negotiation, right? If the selling unit is not operating at full capacity, okay, so what they should do, they should reduce the transfer price, right? They should reduce the transfer price to the market price if this would allow the recovery of variable cost plus a portion of the fixed cost. This I told you already, that if you are operating at full capacity, you will charge them opportunity cost. Remember, I mean opportunity cost above the market price. If you are not operating at full capacity, you cannot charge them market price. Okay, if the buying division is sensible and they are smart people and they know that you are not operating at full capacity, so they will never purchase from you on market price until and unless there is some saving as compared to the outside price. So in that case, what you should do as a selling division, you can charge them your full cost, maybe, that at least try to recover some cost, right? And the minimum what you can charge is your variable cost, because fixed cost anyway you have to incur. uh, this we discussed before also. So yeah, so I was telling you that if you are not operating at full capacity, you can sell at a cost, right? At your cost, at your variable cost. Minimum you need your variable cost. So whatever you get above your variable cost, that's a bonus for you. Okay, all these calculations we will do in the next session, inshallah. Now, what about the disadvantages? Now see, I told you that the market-based pricing method is good for evaluation. Why? Because there is a profit element involved. Here there is no profit, right? If you see this first disadvantage. So they say it's difficult unless transfer price exceed the full cost. I mean, at least you need something extra, right or not? If the see, it depends on the performance evaluation method. If the performance evaluation method is ROI or RI, you definitely need to have some profit. Otherwise, what you will show in ROI and RI, right? So this is a limitation here, that it's not useful if the performance measurement method involves profitability. In this case, your head office called you. They said, okay, please sell at cost. You can argue that you at the okay, I will sell at cost. At the end of the year, you will come to me and you will say me that you didn't make any profit. Isn't it I mean, isn't it unfair? Yes, it is. So in this case, you can argue, and okay, if you change my performance evaluation method, I will sell at cost. Okay, so your head office will ask, okay, give me some recommendation. You say, okay, see, you are asking me to transfer my sister company this product at cost. I will transfer, but you evaluate me on the basis of the quality of my product. So you can ask the sister company that how many units which I supplied were defective, right or not? So you can use this measure, because I can then focus on quality. I hope you people got the point. Similarly, you can also see that I achieved my budgeted cost or not. If I have achieved my budgeted cost, you measure me on that instead of measuring me on ROI and RI. So this is second option for you. I hope you got this discussion, what I gave you. Okay. So the second one is, doesn't preserve autonomy because rule based. Yeah, definitely. Because as I said in the start, you will not use this method by yourself until and unless it is imposed on you by the top management. So definitely it's a rule based approach, and it is not preserving your independence. And I already discussed with you, it is not suitable if you are measured on profitability, and you have to tell them that okay, change the method of performance evaluation, otherwise I am sorry. Okay, negotiated. What is the good thing in negotiated? Definitely, when someone give you this chance that okay, you do the agreement yourself. It is a motivation for you. It is an autonomy for you, right? Now they are likely, why? Because when someone will decide on their transfer price themselves, so they are likely to believe that they have agreed on the best deal. So you go to a market where there is some option of negotiation. Okay, maybe you're going to purchase some clothes in a market where the price is not fixed, so you can deal with them. Okay, so the product is already overpriced, and then you say okay, no, I will pay this much, and eventually you are happy if they give you a discount, and when you exit the shop, you exit with the smile on your face that you have made a good deal, and the shopkeeper will also smile inside because he has made he had made you a fool. Getting it, my friends? So these people, when they put 50% discount, 80% discount, so they inflate the price by maybe 200%, and then they give you 80% discount. So please be careful when you go on these discounts. Okay, What is the problem in negotiated? You know, definitely when you go for a negotiation, the outcome may not be always an agreement. There can be disagreement. In that case, you may not reach a conclusion. And once you not reach a conclusion, now for the rest of your life, maybe you have given them some good words and they have also passed some good words to you. So later on, you will never negotiate with them, right or not? I hope you got the point. What are good words? So the second thing is definitely to negotiate, you need time, you need energy, right? You need the meeting rooms, you need the all the people together who are involved in negotiation. Maybe presentations are going, discussions are going, wasting. Uh, Definitely, it is based on bargaining power. This is also a limitation. So see, if the selling division is in a good position, they have a strong bargaining power, so they will win. But if the buying division is in a good bargaining power, they will win. So at the end of the day, it should be a win-win situation. Okay. One more limitation, it is a continuous process. See, you negotiated today, tomorrow price change in the market, and you want to negotiate again, right? Again, same process all over again, waste of time and energy and everything. And finally, you should know this, that like I told you in the start, that they come up with a price which is not good for the company but good for them. So that is a major limitation of negotiated transfer pricing. Now, the point is implementing uniform policy. The head office wants to implement a uniform policy throughout the company. All the divisions, all the departments, all the subunits have to follow cost plus markup, for example. Do you think this will work? Maybe, maybe not. Depends on the product, depends on the what do you say, situation of the market, right? Depends on the bargaining power, all these things. So that will not work uniformly most of the times. Okay, so then definitely if you see these highlighted words, reduce motivation. Why? Because there is something imposed on you. Maybe they are unwilling to accept it. They will resist if they can, right? And if they can, they will be motivated to sell outside. They will say, okay, we are sorry, we will not sell to each other, we will sell outside. Okay, so that is a problem of uniform policy implementation. Now we are talking about the behavioral implications if the cost plus markup is used. Okay, now if the cost plus markup is used, what do you think about the selling division? What is their behavior? So they will be motivated to control the cost. Getting it? We already discussed this. By the way, if you see the heading is standard. Please note it. This is standard. Standard means that it's not actual, it's standard. So the point here is, when I ask my selling division, please sell this product to your sister company, to your division inside the organization, the department, whatever it is, at your standard full cost, which is your production cost plus markup. Okay, so they will be motivated to control their cost, right or not? Because they want to be within the limit of the standard, right? Because anything above the standard they cannot pass on the buying division. Very nice. So they have to take it on themselves. For example, the abnormal loss or whatever it is. Now, if you talk about the buying division, they will be happy. See, there are two things there on the buying division side. They will be pleased, means they will be happy if the market price is higher. So they can see outside the price is higher and they can get at a lower amount from their sister company. So they will be happy. But if the market price is low, I mean the selling division is selling at 100 and the market price is 80. So do you think the buying division will be happy? No. They will say, why we purchase from you at 100 when we are getting it outside from for 80? Getting the story, my friends? So the buying division behavior, it depends on the market price. If the market price is higher, for example, the selling division is saying, okay, please purchase from me at 100, and the buying division can see outside it's 150. So they will be more than happy to purchase from this internal division because they can say 50, and vice versa. I hope you got the point. Examiner can ask you this. Okay, you know those types of MCQs in which they give you four statements and they say, okay, which of the following is not correct or which of the following is correct. In that you can find this very easily. Even in essay question they can ask you. Okay, market selling price. Okay, now you are using the market selling price. What will happen? What will happen on their behavior? What's the impact on selling division behavior and buying division behavior? Both of them, they are happy. Remember, we discussed already in the advantages. That is a goal congruent situation. So if examiner is asking you about the market price, you say, okay, very nice. This is the best method in this case if all the three conditions are satisfied, which we have discussed already. Because you know they are giving the fair and equal chance to both of them. It will promote cost control, motivate the management, optimize the company performance. Okay. And the last paragraph, if you see, they are aware of the market price. So there is no lack of trust between them because they know, okay, whatever is the outside price, we are getting that. So no issue. The third thing here is out of pocket cost incurred up to the point of transfer plus opportunity cost. So as I discussed before, if you are operating at full capacity, it means you are not going to sell internally for less than your market price plus opportunity cost. Remember, now head office called me, they said, okay, please sell the product at market price to your internal division. What I will say? I will say, sir, I am operating at full capacity and I have unlimited demand of this product. Okay. Now, if you ask me to sell to this internal division at the market price, I am not happy. Why? Because I may lose some customers. Okay, let's change my example. There is no unlimited demand. I mean, I am operating at full capacity and there are some customers to whom I am selling and I am fulfilling my capacity. Okay, it's full capacity. So I will tell the head office, if I sell to the internal division, I will lose some customers and for that I will charge opportunity cost. If agreed, let me know, otherwise I am sorry. I hope you people got the point. And if you see the second paragraph, if you are operating at a level below full capacity, I mean you have capacity, right? So why not utilize it and serve your internal division and at least cover your variable cost. So anything above the variable cost is a bonus for you. Getting it, my friends? Because anyway fixed cost you are incurring even if you utilize your remaining capacity or not, right? Okay. Okay, now the question is, which one is the best? Yes, so you people can write in the chat box, or if you want you can unmute yourself and discuss with me which one you think. Yes, please. Anyone? Yes, my friends, you can write in the chat box or let me know. Okay, some people are saying it's market based. Some people are okay saying it's again market based. Okay. Okay, some people are saying it's cost plus markup. So you people are confused, right? Most of you said market based. See, it depends. You cannot say market based is better. As I said, it can be better if certain conditions are satisfied. I hope you got the point. Very nice answer. There is no answer for that because it depends. Okay. So it depends on situation to situation which one is the best for them. to keep as a transfer price. Okay, so that is the end of our presentation. Now I am going to show you two essay questions. If you can see here, these are from your IMA study support package. Okay, the first question is 1.14 Edge, and the second one is 1.7 Thomson. Okay, already we have discussed all these requirements. So let us quickly go through the requirements. They ask you what is transfer pricing and what is the objective. I hope you people know very well. Okay, what is the transfer price, right? So you remember what is transfer price? That is the price which one subunit charged to another subunit of the same organization. What is objective? Goal congruence and performance evaluation. Methods: market based, cost based, negotiated. Advantages, disadvantages of each method you know very well, right? Based on the scenario, which method should this company select? Now you need to read the scenario for this. See, they are not asking you which method is the best. They are asking based on the scenario which method is the best. So it clearly shows you that you cannot say just like that which method is the best. So they say Edge Products is a global supplier of medical products. They have one primary product which is manufactured in the US, two overseas subsidiaries which produce two key supplies. Okay, both subsidiaries also sell these supplies to other companies. It means there is no interdependency. They can sell to other companies also. The US operation purchases the two supplies internally using transfer pricing. Very nice. The supplies are of the same quality as any available from other suppliers, and see, it means that the US company can purchase it from other suppliers also. It means neither selling division is dependent on buying division and vice versa. Okay, so remember we have three requirements for market base. Number one, the market should be perfectly competitive. It means it is, because there are available customers and suppliers in the market. The second one was they don't depend on each other. See, they don't depend on each other. And the third benefit is already written for you here. There would be no benefit to purchasing the supplies outside of the company. So the third condition is also fulfilled, right? The market is very competitive and prices are stable, right? So we can recommend that which method they should use? Market based. And you will explain your answer also by writing all the three conditions, that all these three conditions are satisfied. That's why you are recommending market based. The fifth question is, how could tariff, custom duty and tax affect the transfer price in a multinational company? Now, you know very well, my friends, for example, take the same example. They have a US company and maybe their subsidiaries are in maybe Europe or some Middle East country. So you know very well there is less tax in the Middle East countries, right, as compared to Europe and US. So in that case, they can do some transfer price fraud. Okay, how? By concealing the tax. They can do tax evasion. Tax evasion is illegal, okay, when you conceal the tax. So what they do is, so for example, if the selling division is in US and the buying division is in Middle East, so what do you think? What they will do? Right? In the US, in the Middle East. So the selling division is here and the buying division is here. So at which price? I mean, they will try to sell the product to Middle East. So see, in the US, the tax rate is high. So they want less profit. How they can have less profit? By selling something at a lower price. Getting it? So they would sell the product at a lower price, so that they don't make much profit and they don't pay much tax in US. Now if you reverse it, for example, if you are selling from here and this is the buyer, like in this question, remember the US needs the supplies, this medical supplies. So the Middle East company, they would ask them, please sell at an overstated amount. Please sell at a overstated price. Why? Because even if you sell at an overstated price, you will book your profit in the Middle East and you will pay very less tax, maybe 10%. But when this product will come in US at an overpriced, right? So for the US company, that will be cost or not? Yes, that will be cost. In that situation, their cost will shoot up and the profit will go down and their tax will go down. I hope you got the point. So that's why there are transfer pricing rules. Okay, there are customs, tariffs, taxes, which countries they put on different products to avoid this tax evasion. Okay, but definitely this is a risk and risk can never be eliminated. But custom people, they try their best to avoid these types of frauds. So sometimes the tax can be on per unit basis. So you say, Habibi, I don't care about your invoice amount. We will apply the tax on the unit. Per unit we will apply the tax. Getting it? And similarly, they already know that certain types of products, what is their cost, what is their price in the market. So if they compare it with a normal price, they can argue with you. They can challenge you that how, okay, assume something is available in the Middle East and you are purchasing it from US. So the Middle East custom people will say, you are purchasing this product from US at $100,000, although it is available locally for $50,000. Why don't you purchase locally? Getting it, my friends? So that's how they can track your fraud. Identify and explain the 4 different types of responsibility centers. You know very well, we have discussed this in the last class. Cost center, profit center, revenue center, investment center. Okay. So this was your first essay question. The second one, I will show you. It's also very simple. I'm not reading the scenario. This is, you can take as a homework, but there is nothing in the scenario actually. Everything is in the requirement. So they are saying what are the 2 positive and negative implications. All this we have discussed in the slides already. So 2 positive, 2 negative, for which method? Negotiated. So you can write 2 advantages of negotiated and 2 disadvantages. Then they say what is the 2 behavioral problem. Problem means limitation. Of which method? Cost method. Again, you know this very well. What is the 2 problem again? For which method? 2 behavioral problem most likely to arise if they change from the current transfer pricing policy to a revised transfer pricing policy. Okay, so definitely this already we discussed in the slides. Remember, when they transfer, there can be resistance. Okay, there can be, maybe they are not willing to transfer because of these things. I already told you in the slides, if you remember. And definitely this is a homework for you also. So go through that. Okay, so they may be unwilling to accept it, all these things, right? See, they say uniformly. This is, as I said, we have already discussed in the slides. It applies uniformly. So what is the behavioral implication? It will reduce the motivation. They may be unwilling to accept it and they will be motivated to sell outside. So these are some problems you can discuss. Then they say, what is the reaction of buying and selling division? If you use standard full costing, we have discussed in the slide. Okay, what is the behavior of buying and selling if they use market selling price? Again, there is a slide for that. And again, for this, there is a slide. Okay, so the answers are already here. If you remember this one. See, this is the answer. then this is the answer, then this is the answer. All three answers we have already discussed. So like this we have completed our session for today, and that is the end of transfer pricing theory concepts. In the next session we will do some MCQs relating to calculations, inshallah.